Joining me now is Liz Wheeler, the host of Tipping Point, to give us her takeaways from the night. So Liz, you covered this with me throughout the night, about 4 hours. We're going to narrow it down a little bit. What was your big takeaway from last night?
I know, imagine inviting me on your show today after spending 4 hours on air with me last night.
I'm getting sick of you.
If that makes you crazy or if that's a compliment. The biggest takeaways, I thought this speech from President Trump last night was absolutely spectacular. It was compassionate, it was substantive, it was emotional. He has the record to back up the narrative that he painted with each individual person that he highlighted. He highlighted them for a reason, to show how his policies either hurt people or how the Democrats' policies hurt people and how his policies positively impact people's lives. I thought it was absolutely fabulous, start to finish. It was hopeful. It was optimistic. There wasn't partisanship in his speech. The only partisanship that we saw was from Democrats. I think this was an absolute, if there's anything higher than a home run, then this speech would qualify for that.
A grand slam.
A grand slam, yeah, there you go.
And you bring up the Democrats right there, too, and I think you were very much so taking note of the Democrat responses in the room last night, as well as the Democrat response to the State of the Union address itself. What was the big takeaway for you regarding the responses to that?
Well, the governor of Michigan, with all due respect, her response was boring, but all responses are, so it's not even particularly personal to her. It's a bad job to give the response to the State of the Union. The Democrats within the chamber, within the House, during the president's address, that's more telling, I think, to watch their reaction, because there are two types of things that are talked about. There's partisan ideology that's talked about. For example, the Second Amendment, we don't expect the Democrats to get on board with that. We know they're very anti-gun. So I wouldn't expect the Democrats to rise and applaud when President Trump talks about preserving our Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. That's one category. There's a second category, though, of achievements the president discussed last night, and that is achievements, good things that have happened for the American people, things that have benefited the American people. The unemployment rate, for example, the lowest unemployment rate in history for women, African Americans, Asian Americans, Hispanic Americans, disabled Americans. That is something that's not partisan. It shouldn't be partisan. People on both sides of the aisle should say, this is why we're here, to represent the American people and make sure that our country is working for the people. And therefore, even if you're a Democrat, if this achievement has been achieved under a Republican president, you sure as heck should stand up and clap for that. And the Democrats, they're so bitter, they're so partisan, they hate President Trump so much, they are willing to throw the American people under the bus and refuse to applaud even for things that are good for American voters. Yeah,
I know you break it down more on your show, too. So everybody, if you go check that out, and if you missed it, what are you guys even doing, right? Liz Wheeler, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.